Okay.
I just find that a lot of times on Saturday nights when there are dances, at about 2 a.m., we'll get large groups of young adult males hanging out outside my window. And twice it's like turned into fights where people are throwing things, and we've called public safety, but it would be nice if like there was no chance to loiter outside of our window.
This is this is actually a great question, because it is one of the things that faces us every weekend after events, which is the events go really well. We have very few problems in events. It's really after the events where people are hanging around and are talking, or they're having a good time outside and they don't want to call it a night. And so we're now trying to, within 15 minutes at the end of the event, trying to disperse people and move them along back to a residence hall, back to their cars, whatever. There are some groups that are difficult, that they don't want to go home, quite honestly. And so it is something we're paying attention to, because that's when the things happen. We know that. And so we're trying to move people along.
Okay.
But good question. Thank you. Yeah.
Paul, could you talk a little bit about, you had mentioned earlier, officers being moved kind of around.
Yep.
And I realize that that's really, really beneficial to cost saving, etc. But I know that myself and probably other students become very attached to certain officers on campus, and in many cases, maybe it helps, knowing like I know Kelly works at night, and I feel safer some nights knowing it, that if I have an issue, I can connect with her, be it walking home, in a dark area, whatever. Do you know how possible it is to keep officers on near their campuses some of the time or most of the time?
They're on their home campus 95% of the time. So they're not moving around much. But we're taking January term, we'll use the summer to do most of our cross training. But if something happens, 2 o'clock in the morning, we need to be able to move people to whatever campus. Sometimes people from Hampshire and Smith have come here, and vice versa. But 95% of the time, people are just where they're supposed to be, exactly where you would expect them to see them. It's been my plan from the start that public safety officers have to be known by the community. We don't want to move them so much that you lose that attachment. And I think we're all aware, Elizabeth and I and the rest of our supervisory team are aware that people do get attached to people. Everybody wants to know Kevin the Party Cop and Kelly. And he's had that label for a lot of years.
Before we were born.
Yeah. So that, again, a great question.
Well, I'd like to also add something about outreach. I mean, one of the things I try to do is to get people interested in safety, get people interested in getting to know things about public safety. The first 2 years that I was here, we ran a J-term class, and we're not doing it this year because it was very hard to get people kind of interested in it, at that time of year. But, it's a hard slog here sometimes to get people kind of interested in safety. But I know there are lots of people on campus, as you said, who do know officers, who do connect with them, who do really feel like a sense of, kind of like public safety is part of the community. And that's really what I'm here to facilitate, is public safety is part of the community and is here to help folks feel safe. And so I just want to offer, if you work with a student organization, or if you work with a group and you think, we would really like to connect with somebody in public safety, you could get in touch with me and I'll try to set that up for you. We have, Kelly Cornelia-Cronk is one of our officers who does a lot of outreach, particularly around crime prevention. So Kelly's always available, and there's some other people are available too as far as doing crime prevention. But I think there's other ways to interact with staff in our department. And one example is that I've done a lot of work over the time that I'm here with Karen Jacobus, who's the health educator, and she works with In Touch, who are the sexual health educators. And they have asked to have a meeting that includes some folks from public safety to help people who are staffing parties understand better what In Touch is providing when they're at a party and they have a table full of, condoms and stuff like that. So they just want to have folks have a better understanding so that they really feel comfortable that officers, and including officers who maybe don't always work at Mount Holyoke, can kind of really understand that this is the culture of Mount Holyoke, this is what we do, this is our contribution to community safety, is kind of how they put it. So there's I think there's other more creative ways of kind of having students and student groups connect with public safety And so, like, that's the stuff that I really love about my job, is, like, getting to sort of think creatively about how we can be connected to the community of Mount Holyoke in ways that are, like, more innovative and more interesting, and that really go farther towards meeting people's needs beyond just, like, the physical safety and parking enforcement and all those kind of tiresome things that we have to do.
And Elizabeth's course last January or 2 Januaries ago was pretty neat because we took people down to South Hadley PD. We showed people what handcuffing
Yeah, they got
was
to learn
like.
how to handcuff, so that...
We'd love to run another public safety academy.
Why aren't you guys doing it this
Well,
year?
because the first year we had like 4 people, and the second year we had 2 people, and it's a lot of time to organize it. I've decided that it would be worth doing if, like, either a student organization says, hey, we really want to participate, we have a bunch of people already lined up so that I don't have to recruit, or if we could ever get it so that you could get, like, 1 credit or a phys ed credit, but that's a long way down the road. So you've got to have a hook so that people actually come.
Yeah.
So, but if you wanted to come, we could teach you how to handcuff.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'll send you an email.
Okay. All right. Next time we see you, we'll have a little handcuff practice.
Okay.
How about other questions? Yeah, way in the back.
I'm a senior and I am forever frustrated with the parking situation on this campus.
Yes.
I know that it's been brought up several times about maybe stealing some spots from the Village Commons, like the bottom down there.
Yes.
Stealing, we like the stealing idea.
Yeah.
Public safety.
At a bunch of other liberal arts schools where I visit my friends, they'll let them park in faculty staff over the weekend, as long as they have their cars out by like Sunday night at midnight, they can park there. And a bunch of people have complained about having to walk from New Dorm or Dickinson all the way to the gym. So I was wondering if there was any way to kind of start talking about maybe making some parking policy changes, like maybe having a few spots at the gym that are like for students, like 1 hour, 45-minute long parking. Because I know public safety does rotations through there anyway. So I mean, if you keep seeing the same car 3 times over, like that would be a good system to take in.
Well, parking's a really hard topic, but I'm going to do my best to answer your questions. We're always interested in different ideas, so if you want to, send Elizabeth an email for the Public Safety Advisory Board about a couple of spaces in the Kendall lot, that would be fine. Let me tell you what goes on. One of the reasons that we don't let students move into faculty staff spaces over the weekend. There's essentially a couple of reasons. One is I made a deal with the SGA probably in 1995 around this, believe it or not. I won't hold you all to it about moving people out of the spaces, because here's why we don't let students use the spaces. One is we use the faculty and staff spaces at night for guests and for events. If students move to the faculty and staff spaces, which are essentially the core spaces around Chapin, Pratt, Rook, all those kind of places, these auditoriums, then we don't have places for people that we're inviting to come in at night to park. That's one. The second one is during the winter time, we can't plow the faculty staff areas. And then the third one is that my experience is even with the best of intentions, when people are going to move the vehicles by 7 o'clock in the morning, they don't. And then we end up towing vehicles. We end up with really upset faculty and staff members, which really comes to public safety. And so that's what we did. And it was something that I did negotiate with the SGA a number of years ago. I never say never, but this is a really hard one for us. We've looked at other models. I think Amherst College, for instance, allows people to park in faculty staff parking until 2 a.m. and then they start towing, and they tow cars. I prefer not to tow student cars, quite frankly. Yes?
Have you thought maybe, with regard to the parking, that about kind of zoning areas, that if students live in Abbey Beckland, the New Dorm, and Dickinson, that they should park in Gorse and have those, that lot be specifically allocated for those dorms, and then different areas for different dorms, so this way people who live in Abbey Beck, for instance, don't have to walk all the way to Hammer-Gregor lot to do something which...
It is possible to do that. Here's how it will play out, though, and I would be willing to consider that. What happens is we would look at the Gorse lot's got X number of spaces, the Mandel's got X number of spaces, so here we would have to create a system, a priority system of do seniors get first dibs at parking for the Mandel. I mean, that's what you have to do. Yes, I see people saying yes.